Welcome to the Forge of Greatness, Market Value. This is the arena where men refine their minds, build their strength, and elevate their growth. Remember, growth is intentional. Subscribe now, or this could be the last time you hear from us. Let's jump into today's lesson. They say you don't know what you have until it's gone, but for her, it wasn't immediate. The realization came not like a lightning strike, but like a rising tide, slow and relentless. At first, she didn't feel the loss in a way she could name. It was a subtle shift in the rhythm of her days, an absence that whispered in the background. Her mornings were no different, yet everything had changed. She reached for her phone out of habit, only to find no new messages from you. She went through the motions, coffee, work, conversations with friends, but it all felt muted, like a song played too softly to hear the lyrics. The real heartbreak began with the little things. She scrolled through her photo gallery and found a picture of the two of you laughing. She couldn't even remember what was so funny that day, but the memory burned brighter now that you were gone. She lingered on that photo, feeling a pang in her chest that she couldn't ignore. It's often the quiet moments that carry the loudest grief. She found herself hesitating before walking into certain rooms, avoiding places you used to be. The restaurant where you always ordered the same thing, the park where you had your favorite bench. These places had once been filled with laughter and connection, but now they were hollow reminders of what she had lost. Loss is a strange thing. It doesn't always announce itself with grand gestures. For her, it came on a night like any other. She returned home, kicked off her shoes, and dropped her bag on the floor. As she sat on the couch staring at the ceiling, a thought crept in. He's really gone, and that's the moment it hit her. Not just that you weren't coming back, but that she had lost more than your presence. She had lost the person you made her want to be. She had lost the version of herself that felt loved, seen, and understood. Memories began to overwhelm her. The sound of your voice, the way you always knew when she needed support, the way you stayed even when things got hard. She replayed conversations in her mind, searching for clues, for a way to understand when it all went wrong. She thought about the things she never said, the thank yous she never gave, the apologies she never made. Regret weighed on her like a stone, and for the first time, she allowed herself to feel the full weight of her loss. The tragedy of taking someone for granted is that you don't realize you're doing it until it's too late. She thought you'd always be there, that your patience was infinite, your love unshakable. She assumed there would always be another chance to say what needed to be said to make things right. But life doesn't work that way. Relationships are fragile, held together by mutual effort and respect. Every time she chose her pride over an apology, every time she dismissed your feelings, she added another crack to the foundation. She started to see the patterns. The times she ignored your needs because she was too focused on her own. The times she let small arguments turn into bigger ones because she couldn't let go of being right. The times she pulled away emotionally, not realizing how much it hurt you. Taking someone for granted isn't about malice, it's about neglect. And neglect over time is just as destructive. She realized too late that love is a garden that needs tending. Without care, it withers. Grief isn't linear, it's not something you move through in neat stages. For her, it came in waves. Some days, she felt almost okay. Other days, she was completely consumed by the weight of what she had lost. She mourned not just you, but the life she thought you would share, the plans you had made, the dreams you had talked about, the future you had imagined. All of it felt like a cruel mirage, something she could see but never touch. This kind of grief is deeply personal. It's the song on the radio that reminds her of you, the smell of your favorite cologne lingering in her memory, the empty space in her bed that feels colder than it should. It's the realization that she will never hear you laugh again, never feel the warmth of your hand in hers, never share another quiet moment just being together. But grief also brings clarity. As painful as it was, she began to see things more clearly. She saw the ways she had pushed you away, the ways she had let her fears and insecurities cloud the love you had tried to give her. And she saw how much she had lost, not just you, but the best version of herself. Reflection is a double-edged sword. It can bring understanding, but it can also bring pain. As she looked back on your relationship, she saw not just what went wrong, but also the role she had played in its unraveling. She realized that her fear of vulnerability had been her undoing. She was so afraid of being hurt that she kept you at arm's length even when you were trying to get close. She was so focused on protecting herself that she didn't see how much she was hurting you. This wasn't about blaming herself or wallowing in guilt. It was about taking responsibility. She began to understand that relationships are a partnership, and she hadn't always held up her end of the bargain. She had expected you to be patient, to understand her, to love her unconditionally, but she hadn't given you the same in return. This realization was painful, but it was also a turning point. For the first time, she saw the possibility of growth. She couldn't undo the past, but she could learn from it. She could choose to be better, not just for herself, but for anyone she might love in the future. Loss often feels like the end, but it can be the beginning of something transformative. For men, reflecting on the lessons that arise from a relationship's unraveling is an opportunity to grow, not just as partners, but as individuals. Her journey of realization reveals truths that are universal, offering valuable insights for building stronger, healthier relationships in the future. Here are the lessons men can take to heart. One of the most significant mistakes in relationships is assuming that the other person knows what you're feeling. Silence, while often unintentional, creates gaps that misunderstandings fill. Speak your truth even when it feels uncomfortable. Share your joys, your frustrations, your dreams, and your fears. Vulnerability is the bridge that connects hearts, and without it, even the strongest relationship can crumble. In her story, she missed your silent cries for help. She didn't see the signs that you were feeling neglected or unappreciated because you never fully voiced them. Learning from this, understand that communication isn't just about speaking, it's about ensuring you're truly heard. Another lesson you can derive from this situation is to set and respect boundaries. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect. Setting boundaries isn't about being rigid, it's about protecting your emotional well-being. Let your partner know what you need and what you won't tolerate. Respect yourself enough to walk away if those boundaries are consistently crossed. In her reflection, she realized how she often tested the limits of your patience and understanding, assuming you would always forgive and stay. For men, the takeaway is clear. Staying silent or compromising your values for the sake of peace only delays the inevitable. Establish boundaries early and hold to them firmly, but compassionately. Celebrate the small gestures. Grand gestures are memorable, but it's the everyday actions that build the foundation of love. The goodnight text, the coffee prepared just the way you like it, the quiet moments of listening. These are the moments that weave the fabric of a relationship. She realized too late that what she missed most weren't the big things, but the small, seemingly insignificant ones. Don't wait for a relationship to end to recognize these moments. Acknowledge them, cherish them, and reciprocate them. Thirdly, prioritize emotional availability. Society often teaches men to suppress emotions, to be strong and stoic in a way that isolates them from their partners. But emotional availability isn't a weakness. It's the cornerstone of intimacy. Share your struggles and victories and create a space where your partner feels safe to do the same. This channel will teach you how the true Stoicism is applied without compromising intimacy. She reflected on how her emotional walls often met with silence instead of a loving nudge to open up. Be the partner who encourages emotional depth while being willing to lead by example. Your next lesson should be to learn to let go with grace. Not every relationship is meant to last forever, and that's okay. The strongest thing you can do is let go of something that no longer serves you. Walking away doesn't mean you failed. It means you've chosen to prioritize your growth and well-being. She learned this lesson the hard way. She clung to the idea of fixing things long after the damage was done, not realizing that sometimes love means knowing when to let go. Letting go with grace opens the door for healing for both of you. Also, never take love for granted. Perhaps the most poignant lesson of all is this: love is a gift, not a guarantee. Show up for it every day. Appreciate your partner for who they are, not who you want them to be. Express gratitude even for the little things. Her realization was bittersweet. She came to appreciate your love only after it was gone. But for you, the opportunity lies in the present. Don't wait for hindsight to teach you the value of the person standing by your side. Through these lessons, the pain of loss can become the foundation for wisdom. They serve as a reminder that love requires effort, attention, and a willingness to grow, not just together, but also as individuals. By internalizing these truths, men can not only foster healthier relationships, but also build a deeper, more fulfilling connection with themselves. Stoicism teaches us that loss is not an end, but a beginning. As Marcus Aurelius said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Loss is painful, but it's also an opportunity for growth. It forces us to confront our weaknesses, to see ourselves more clearly, and to make changes that we might otherwise avoid. It's a teacher, if we're willing to learn. When you lose someone, it's easy to dwell on what's gone, but Stoicism reminds us to focus on what we can control, our thoughts, our actions, and our choices moving forward. You can't change the past, but you can shape the future. For her, losing you was devastating, but it was also a wake-up call. It made her realize the value of what she had lost and the importance of cherishing what she still had. And in that realization, there was a glimmer of hope. For men, the lesson is clear. Value yourself, communicate openly, and don't settle for less than you deserve. But also don't let pride keep you from showing love and vulnerability. Relationships are a dance between strength and softness, between holding on and letting go. Life is full of loss, but it's also full of opportunities to grow, to heal, and to love again. The question isn't whether you'll face loss, it's how you'll respond when you do.